Hey, worship
Yeah.
leader, welcome to the channel. Today I have a special guest with me, Cody Fields. How's it going, Cody?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to meet you. We are actually meeting for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is it.
Though we did go to school in the same place.
Just
When did you graduate?
well, graduate is not what I did there. I
Oh,
graduated.
my
Yeah,
apologies.
no, that's okay. I did graduate, just not there. We both went to North Greenville. It was North
Yeah.
Greenville College when I was there back in '04, '04,
Oh,
04.
good. You weren't there when I was.
Yes,
Thank
so
goodness.
probably much older.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I graduated in '09, so I
Okay.
started in the fall of '05, so just after you left.
I wonder if you know my sister. She was there, I think.
I irritated a lot of people at North
Yeah.
Greenville. I was a sports editor for the newspaper,
Nice.
and they gave me a weekly opinion column, and
You had your opinion.
we'll just leave it there.
It's a cool place.
Yeah. Now, are you originally from the Greenville area, or?
I'm not. I'm from all over. My dad was a pastor, and I went to North Greenville because some friends of mine did. That's how I heard
Okay.
about it. Best
Yeah.
man in my wedding went there. I wasn't married yet. I found my wife there. Went there one year. I was kind of undecided. I wanted to be a worship leader, but they didn't really have a worship track. It was just like, what classical instrument are you trained in? And I wasn't really. And so I was like, I'll
Yeah.
just be undecided for now. And there was a music group called
Joyful sound.
Joyful Sound. Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if I don't make it, which obviously I'll make it, but if I don't make it, it'll be a sign from God that I don't need to be there. And I didn't make it. So there's that. And yeah, my wife, she was there the same year I was, but wanted to go into medical stuff. So she transferred and anyways, dropped out of college for like 9 years, moved to Wake Forest, finished my undergrad, working
There
on my
you
master's.
go.
Yeah,
There you go.
we're here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So tell us about you. So we have a giveaway we're doing.
Yeah.
We need to tell people up front. Is this clicking when I unplug all this stuff?
Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay.
We have a giveaway. Boom. Tell us a little bit about how this came to be.
So, I mean, everybody knows the guitar pedal market is oversaturated. I get follows from new guys at least 3 or 4 times a month. Some new pedal line, and that's fine. I don't begrudge that of anybody. I encourage all kind of entrepreneurship. We live in a really cool time right now where I don't have to be Boss or Line 6 or even JHS levels. JHS is enormous now. It's not like they're tiny anymore. Right. But you don't have to get that big to make a good living off of having a small business. And so if those guys want to start a side hustle and try and push their way into the market, that fine, that's awesome. But you very often see guys who come on, make like 10 posts, and then you never hear from them again. Right. And so I didn't want to be that guy. I really wanted to have some staying power in the market. And that's when shortly after I started the business, the Line 6 Helix came out. And it's like, oh, I have to compete with that. Yeah. Because we've had the pod and all that kind of stuff, but and obviously there's Fractal and whatever. But it wasn't as mainstream as the Helix made it. Right. The whole digital all-in-one supercomputer kind of thing. And I've even had Digitech units in the past, and they were okay, but it wasn't like the Helix. And it was just like, it's not that so much that I'm competing against other small pedal companies or even larger pedal companies. That's ultimately my competition. And it was like, I got to figure out a way to run direct. And so effectively I found some circuits, tweaked them a little bit to my liking, right? To simulate a Vox AC30 and a cab sim, developed an active DI circuit so I don't have to mess with some expensive transformer, because small business trying to keep my costs down, right? So cobbled all that together and came out with the Geneva Amp Sim version 1, with the bigger box version. And through my circuit board layout guy, Kyle, shout out to Kyle Daly, we've started moving things in a more surface mount component direction, which is pretty much what everybody's going to these days. Everything in the Line 6 Helix is surface mount. JHS has gone there. Boss is even going there on like the DS1. Like, who would have thought? So it's a huge time saver for me. And it's also more reliable even. Like, you don't have to worry about as many bad solder joints. And but at the even better, you save space. And so I was able to shrink the enclosure, but at the same time we had to give and take, which is why there's no foot switch on it anymore. Right. But at the same time, it's it's the same size as the Chick delay, or for those who aren't as familiar with my stuff, anything that JHS puts out, or Matthews effects, or even about the size of a Boss pedal.
Yeah.
And it's right there on at the end of your chain, and you can, I guess you could run your delay and reverb after it if you run the 1/4 inch out, if you really wanted to. Right. Personally, I prefer to run it just as an amp platform, or a pedal platform rather, simulating an amp, because I've always been run the amp as a pristine, clean kind of guy. Like, that's just what I've always liked to do. And but yeah, that's the Geneva Amp Sim in a rambling nutshell for you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I've been an amp guy for years. I had a Blues Junior. I played that for years, and that's all I ever had. I haven't had a ton of gear. And then I had like a Tyler HM18, more voxy sounding, love it. And then it just sat on the shelf once I got the HX Stomp, because it was just so easy to get good tones, and then I could try all these different amps that I could never get my hands on before.
Oh yeah.
But for those of you who haven't seen the comparison video, I was blown away at the quality of the Geneva right off screen here compared to the HX Stomp. It just takes, it's so good. I just want to say it's so good.
Thank you.
The Geneva is so good. So whatever you did to work your magic inside there, I love the HX Stomp. Like, it's my thing. I talk a lot about it, but they haven't figured that much out yet, because it takes drives so well. So yeah.
Well, there's something about Brian Nutter said this of Nutter Guitars. He's been my summer NAMM neighbor a couple of years. Really talented guitar builder out of Nashville, and he used to play lead guitar for like Taylor Swift, and I think he played with Keith Urban or something like that. The guy just makes incredible guitars. They look like they should be on the Jetsons or something like that. And I'm using all analog components in the Geneva. And not to get too technical, but effectively where the tubes would be on an AC30, instead you have JFET transistors.
Okay. And
so the way he put it was, well, instead of playing with binary code, you're still playing with electrons. So there's something a little more natural. That's not to say that the Helix or the HX Stomp or what have you doesn't sound good. But in terms of a little more natural, that's what you're going to get out of the Geneva, just because you're running all analog components as opposed to running it through a computer. And I say that as a guy even who has used plugins on a computer before, and some of them sound absolutely fantastic. I think of stuff like what is it? Neural has done, especially in the high gain world. Like, I'm a metalhead at heart, even though I'm like a church history dork too. So like, it's pretty crazy just the amount of technology we have right now.
Yeah, it really is. Well, yeah. So viewers, if you haven't entered yet, we have like 380 some people entered so far to win. So that's great. So go enter, click the link below. I wanted to then transition and just ask you, get that up out of the way up front for people who, but just ask you how Westminster Effects came to be. I know from the little bit I know about you, theology is important. And as it is with me. And so I kind of want to just spend some time
Absolutely.
talking about that, like how theology has crept into you're meshing like my two areas, like theology is
Yeah.
important. That's why I'm so drawn to it. And so tell us a little bit how that came to be.
Yeah. So in terms of the actual origins of the company, so I have a journalism degree, as we were talking about going to North Greenville and all that kind of stuff. I graduated in 2009, which was the exact perfect time for someone to graduate and not get a job in their field, especially journalism. And everybody was kind of like, oh yeah, we forgot how to make money.
Right.
So like even the New York Times parent company laid off like 5,000 people or something that year. It was just crazy. So I ended up landing with an advertising agency here in Greenville, and a year into it, it went super south. Mm-hmm. Everything I did was wrong, even when it was right. It was just one of those toxic kind of situations. And so I quit, and I was trying to go freelance with blogging, social media, whatever. Like I kind of have the marketing thing. Like I'm pretty decent with words, especially in text. So in the meantime, like I've always been a DIY guy, and I got a General Guitar Gadgets Blues Breaker kit and built my own overdrive. And it was just like, man, that was fun.
Yeah.
And I got ideas. I think I can make money. And that's really how it came to be. And it was, and what I kind of saw was in the worship guitar world, we tend to be guitarists tend to be a little more, obviously this is kind of a myth, but the whole right brain, left brain thing is the more artistic musicians tend to be a little more touchy feely. And we need that, right? We need that. You read the Psalms and there's a lot of emotion and like, hey, God, what's going on here? David's going through like, hey, it feels like my heart's being ripped out of my chest kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, what we often have, and this is still the case, is we kind of ignore doctrine. You got to have both. You got to have both the careful thinking, the careful reading of scripture, the careful handling of doctrine and the tradition I don't remember the exact verse, but Paul tells Timothy, guard the tradition or hold fast to the form of sound words.
Yeah.
And so a lot of Westminster Effects is kind of prodding worship guitarists like, hey, go read this dead guy. Yeah, he said a lot of really good stuff. Go read Calvin, go read Spurgeon, Augustine, Edwards. And that's just in the first couple of years. And now we're up to guys like Chrysostom or Martin Lloyd-Jones and guys like that. And it's kind of the heavy hitters of 2,000 years of family history is what I like to call it.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Some of them are kind of funny. I remember when I first saw the Chick-fil-A, I didn't even know what it was. I was like, oh, dude, that's awesome. And I think you said that's probably is that one of your bestsellers?
That's my second bestseller. Yeah. Behind the Geneva right now. And it just so happens both of those have gotten me cease and desist letters.
So because I think I read or something, somebody commented in the group, there's the lounge. And somebody said something about, hey, you changed the look of it. So now you don't have to worry about something. So are you allowed to talk about, what is that? I don't even know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got an email from Chick-fil-A's intellectual property lawyer. What was that? 2 years ago now. I have, you can't see it in the screen, but between those two guitars on the wall, I have a letter from them framed.
Nice.
But I got an email from their intellectual property guy, saying, hey, you have a great business. We have a couple concerns. Can you give me a call? We'll keep it cordial. And I called him, and he's actually a really nice guy. And he said, Chick-fil-A really prefers to make friends if we can help it in these kinds of situations. Because he said they dealt with everybody from like mom bloggers who, make, Chick-fil-A themed bibs for babies and whatever. And then they deal with scam artists who print out fake coupons. Right. So all kinds of nonsense, running the gamut from super innocent to outright malicious. And he said, my clients are concerned, this is pretty much our font, and he wasn't wrong. I think technically I could be covered under parody law, satire law, something like that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like it became a game of resources. Like,
right,
I'm not going to win that fight.
right.
But at the same time, they were really, really nice about it. And so we did a podcast episode about it later, where they had requested that I change the art, and one of my co-hosts, John in Nebraska, actually recorded his end from a Chick-fil-A. So we were just on the nose with everything. And I mentioned how they actually have good bacon there. Yeah. Because most fast food bacon is just absolute garbage. It's floppy. There's nothing to it. And I mentioned that they have good bacon, and they sent me a letter with coupons for like their barbecue bacon sandwich or something like that. And it was just like, that's a classy move. Yeah. Chick-fil-A, like, yeah. Hats off,
for sure. So it looks different than it originally did.
It does. Actually, this one I have right here is a B stock, because I was planning on posting it in the lounge where the white level wasn't exactly. So this is more pink than normal.
Gotcha.
But we now have a cow instead of the closer to the logo.
Okay.
Kind of font.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then the other one that I've gotten a cease and desist for was the original art for the Geneva Amp Sim version 2.
Okay.
I didn't realize that Vox had trademarked their grill cloth.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah. And so they sent me a very sternly worded letter.
Wow.
And my lawyer in turn, and I'm friends with my lawyer, so we can cut up about this kind of stuff. He sent them a very sarcastically worded letter back, and we had fun with it.
Yeah. Okay. So
anyway.
So now it has this look, which is still awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
So I was really just kind of going for the look of an amp in general,
right.
Without stepping on any toes.
No, I think it looks great. Wow, that's funny. And so the other one that always catches my eye is the distortion, the Osteen distortion pedal, which I just think is hilarious every time I think about it. But
there are only 2 reactions that the Osteen distortion gets, and it is either a good chuckle or I've actually had a couple people angry about it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know who all watches this. I get people watching from all over. There may be people who don't know who he is, but,
right.
I tend not to get too divisive. That's just not my personality. But absolutely. I can make a clear line there. That's funny. That's
right.
Funny. Yeah.
Right. Well, whatever you think, when the knobs are labeled, and this is me saying this isn't you.
Right.
I'll throw myself under the bus. The knobs are labeled health, wealth, and listen, friend. So
listen,
do with that what you will.
Oh man, funny. Good times.
Good
Sales
times
are just going to go through the roof right now.
Man, I tell you, just doing any kind of giveaway with you, man, my website traffic is just shot up.
Man, that's awesome.
And I'm pretty sure I've sold some Genevas through the website just because you said something. So
yeah.
Well, so we'll have to do this again soon.
Yeah. Well, I love like I said, we have never met, but I love promoting and helping out. People have helped me and with things that I believe in.
Yeah.
And the motivation for me is that I really love helping worship leaders, like you said, and I think this is a perfect solution for some people because it comes price point below the HX Stomp. You know, I guess the next thing down, which I don't know if I'm not saying in quality, just price, would be the Iridium. Still, this is like less than half of that or right at half. And so people that just want that direct solution, don't want to twist a bunch of knobs. And that's a bunch of people out there. Some days I'm like that. I'm like, do I have to give this thing away? Like, I just want to just use this. Because it's just so simple. Like, it's just an amp. It's a pedal platform. You can run your pedal board into it. It's an amazing direct solution. You don't have to worry about tweaking so much to get the hiss out or all that stuff I talked about in the other video. It's ready to go. And so, I think there's a lot of people out there listening that would be like, this solves a problem that needs to be solved. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And whether it's worship leaders, whether you're playing in a band, like like whether it's cover band or a hardcore band or whatever. I know like a lot of metal guys don't really go to AC30 platforms,
Right.
But one of the things that I was thinking about is so many churches have volunteer sound crews, right? And obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes there's just not a whole lot of experience. And so whether it's them or whether you show up and I'll just say this, there's a venue around here and their old sound guy, you remember the reality show Moonshiners?
Yeah.
Their old sound guy was on Moonshiners.
Okay.
So he would show up drunk. So whether it's relying on an inexperienced sound guy or someone who may be intoxicated and right. Relying on them to find out the right spot to put the guitar mic, right like this just takes one extra thing out of that equation. You plug up, it already sounds good, you've dialed it in, and if you need to tweak it, then okay, then maybe I cut the bass or bump the treble or whatever, and you're good, just like an amp, but you don't have to worry about that extra variable.
Right. Oh, somebody's walking in. Pause. Hey, Cody, meet my wife. She's just had to get something. Working from
hi, wife.
Hi, wife. This is Cody. He's
Hi, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
I'm homeschooling and I need the laptop turned.
Oh, go get it.
So what? I was listening at the door and I thought I heard silence.
No, we were in deep. We're praying, actually.
No.
No.
I'm so sorry.
We were walking verse by verse.
Yeah, we were walking verse by verse through scripture.
Now you're all red. That's my fault.
No, I'll color grade this out of there. Okay. Working from home, kids. I got 3. Dude. Are you married? You are married. I know that.
I am married. Yeah. So we both work from home. She works for her dad. Okay. And so we both work from home, and then we have 2 stupid dogs. Okay. So we don't have any kids, but one of them is 120-pound Newfoundland.
Okay. Wow.
Who is a very good alarm system, because we'll have deliveries dropped off and he'll bark, and it's that
big bark.
Like DMX,
Oh, rest his soul.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm in Lyman. He used to live in Greer, like
really
a half mile away from me.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but like this dog has an enormous bark, and so people deliver stuff and they'll just kind of look, right. What's about to happen. But then we also have a Pomeranian who owns the planet.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. I'm kind of amazed neither of them has barked yet.
Yeah.
It'll happen eventually.
It'll happen. Yeah. So before my wife walked in, I'm sure we were on to something good, but I can't remember.
We were talking about running direct and
half
drunk sound guys and that kind of thing.
That's what it was. And I was thinking, I was like, for, a guitar player, just having one as a backup, or, as inexpensive it is, or worship leaders like me who, like, a while back, I had a couple guys at my church who were great guitar players, but didn't have gear.
Yeah.
At the time, they had kids or whatever, they'd sell it. They're like, it's just not the time of my life to own this stuff. And so I was like, man, it'd be cool if the church could provide something. And actually did a very controversial video not that long ago. I still get comments on it about making a reaction video to somebody else's like stuff they provided that they had to use. That's not how I did it. I was just like, it's here if you want it, and I provide the Blues Junior, but like, a Blues Junior is more expensive. Like you could just have a couple of these around.
Yep.
Just in case,
Yeah. So and you don't have to worry about tubes going out or anything like that.
Exactly. I mean, it's funny. I mean, a friend of mine who was playing electric, that was the other cool thing about having the gear around, is that acoustic players who were like, hey, I'd like to try electric, they could, try it out because there was gear there to try. Yeah. And we had the big isolation boxes, and I came in the next week, opened the door, and, heat, because he had left it on all week, forgot to go turn it off.
Oh no.
Tubes are fried, so yeah, you don't have to deal with that if you get this. So plugging it,
Right.
plugging it hard because
Yes.
I think that it's good. Quality's good. Go check it out. So, well, cool. I was going to ask you about your gear. You play on Sunday morning. What's your pedal board look like? What are you running right now?
Yeah. So I know it's really surprising, a bunch of my own stuff. So in terms of chain, I run into my buffered splitter. That's first in the chain. And then one part of that goes into a Fortin Zool, which I know you hear about a lot in worship circles, right? But I think it's the best noise gate on the planet.
Gotcha.
Like I don't like having any kind of 60 cycle hum or overdrive noise or anything like that. And especially like if you're going from like I like to call them the come to Jesus bridges, where it's all nice and sparkly, but maybe I'm not in,
Right.
but I'm going to build into, a big chorus or whatever. If I don't want to have to worry about turning on an overdrive, like I want to just be able to do the thing. Right. And so the Fortin Zool is kind of a brilliant design where it has what they call a key input. So from that buffered splitter, you run into the key input, and that's what it bases when it's active or not. Gotcha. It's not only about running your tone into that and then out of it, and then you just get past the threshold. And so the other side runs to a Calvin compressor and a Zwingli SDD 3K preamp, and then through my drive section, and then it goes into the Zool. And so it's super quiet for a setup. And I run the same board for both church and for my hardcore band. So so in terms of the rest of my chain, actually I run my chorus, the Chrysostom chorus vibrato first. I picked that up from Sean Pierce Johnson of Stomp Box Saturday. Where he did that with his demo for the Chrysostom. I was like, I actually like that better. Let's try this.
Yeah.
So it all worked out. And so then I run, and this is all being controlled by a Boss ES8. Absolutely love that loop switcher, super programmable, sends MIDI and all that good stuff. So I run my first stage overdrive is the Edwards overdrive. The gain is about 10 o'clock, so not very high. And then I run into a 1689. The gain is about 1 o'clock, so a little beefier. And then third stage, or I can run it by itself, or I can just run it with the 1689 or whatever. I like having 3 stages because you can just blend all you want. Is the Physician. And so that's a little bit beefier of a pedal. So I have that gain backed off a little bit. It's about 930 or so. And then I have the Osteen distortion for the chugs.
Will it chug?
Will it chug? And it will chug. And then I never get to use this pedal in church, but I have an MXR micro flanger that I've modded with a volume control because it's just so loud. I had to pull that down some.
Gotcha.
But I love flanger. I have a Dan Electro Psycho flange on my shelf behind me, and it's just, I don't know what it is. I just like it. So then I have the Luther Tap Tremolo version 2 that just came out.
So I don't even know about all your pedals. I'm gonna have to go investigate.
Oh yeah, this one's a lot of fun, man. It's it's a tap tremolo, but it's not one of those that will give you option paralysis. Like it's more intuitive. You get 2 waveforms, the ones that everybody uses anyway. So your sine and square, and then normal and harmonic modes. Gotcha. And then it has tap divisions and stuff like that for whatever song you're on, but it's nothing insane. And then from there, I actually don't use the chick delay on a regular basis, believe it or not.
What a waste.
What a waste. So I run that into a Strymon timeline. I don't like worrying about any kind of tap tempo or syncing anything up live. So I have a preset for every song. Even if it's just, copy paste, change the tempo or something like that. So I love the timeline. Like it's a fantastic pedal. And then from there into the Chalcedonian dual reverb.
Nice.
So nerd alert on that name, I know.
Right.
But you know, the first side is the Nicene reverb, which is a spring style, and then the Spurgeon Hall reverb on the left side. I run that into a cranked Boss RV5 on modulate. Then I run that into the Matthews Effects Cosmonaut version 2.
Okay.
I don't remember which model I'm using, but it gives me a couple of different flavors in super ambient reverbs, you know, that can run away on you.
Does that one have shimmer in it? Is that got the, or is that
I believe there's one with a little bit of shimmer, but this one's a little bit darker, the one that I primarily use. So, you know, the RV5 on modulate's a little brighter.
Yeah.
And so if you want it to sound inspirational, you use the RV5.
Right.
If you want it to sound a little brooding, then that's when the Matthews comes in.
Yeah.
And I'll actually stack reverbs this way too. Like I love the Big Sky. I love the RV500, stuff like that. But one thing a lot of people don't play around with often is stacking reverbs and just letting them, like drives, they can cascade into each other.
Yeah, I love it.
And that can be a whole lot of fun. And then from there, I run to my Geneva version 2, and it kind of depends on the setup that we're running. My church actually owns an AC-15 with an ISO cab that I'll use. But I also used the Geneva for our outdoor Easter services and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then if I'm playing at home, I actually have, we were talking about tubes exploding and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have an angled Marshall 212 cab.
Okay.
With a Seymour Duncan power stage for the amp. So which is actually a really, really good amp. And the cab sim on it's fantastic. I know I'm kind of undercutting myself with the Geneva, but but in terms of like when I run an amp, I want it to be pristine clean. That's just my taste. Yep. And that's what this amp is meant to do. It's meant to just take your pedals and recreate that through the amp. You know, that's all I need for amps. You know, if I'm playing live, I can throw my pedal board down and run the Geneva if I want, or I can run with an amp, you know, so.
Yep. Go back and tell me a little bit about the reverb pedal, your reverb pedal.
Yeah.
There was a dual. Is it a legitimate dual? Does one feed into the other? Do they have like trails?
My reverbs don't at the moment have trails. I'm working on that. But the first reverb I came out with was the Spurgeon Hall reverb. So obviously a little bit of a modulation in there. It's based around the Accutronics Belton bricks. I don't even remember the serial number, BTDR2H or something like that. And yeah, obviously. But the Spurgeon is the long decay version of that.
Gotcha.
And so the Nicene reverb, well, it's of the same substance. There you go. So that one uses the short decay Belton brick. And so it really is the same thing. You just swap out the brick, but it's a totally different flavor.
Right. Okay.
And so Chalcedonian, you know, dual natures, right?
Yeah, that's right. Slip that one in there. That's it.
Right. Right. Awesome. So it operates just like my dual overdrive pedal. So you can run one or both or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. The business side of it, and how do you keep up with making it? Are you literally making them by hand, or do you have people working, or you outsource it, or what?
Yeah. So in terms of graphics, I outsource the graphics. And then circuit board layout, I have that outsourced. Okay. But then in terms of manufacturing, I'm the guy. So, and I do everything here. I have, we actually don't have a guest bedroom right now because it's taken up with a drill press and stuff like that. And so like I drill them out. I actually powder coat everything myself.
Oh, okay.
And then I was gifted a UV printer 6-7 months ago or something like that. So that's been a game changer for me, really. Because I already had a guy doing the UV print stuff,
Yeah.
And then he was taking a long time and he felt bad about it. So he gave me one. It's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so that's my workbench there.
Oh, okay.
Wow. And yeah, so you can see those circuit boards there standing up.
Yeah.
Are the surface mount ones that I've been getting in for the Geneva and stuff like that. So a lot of that work is already done for me.
Yeah.
Thank God, because and I don't mean that in a third commandment violating way. I literally mean that. Like the original Geneva was all through hole components, and so insert and solder everything.
Yeah.
And it took me 45 minutes to an hour to build one, and now we're down to 15 to 20 minutes depending on how fast I'm going.
Wow,
So
that's awesome. Okay.
yeah.
Then
So
you got to ship them, and there's just all that
inventory
and all that stuff. Like, do you just build to order, or is it like you
mostly
have some? Okay, yeah.
Mostly, I try to build ahead, but last year was actually my best year ever.
Okay.
And this year it looks like I'm going to blow past that probably by July.
That's awesome, man.
So, I'm not complaining about any of that. It's just like I'm having to think about, all right, now how am I going to do all of this?
Yeah, I was going to say, so like as a business owner, if you keep growing, let's just say you double this year and then you double again next year, can you handle it? How are you going to grow?
I couldn't handle that myself. Like, we're even to the point, my parents live 3.5 minutes away.
Okay.
So I actually do, my dad and I, well, he has to have a procedure done tomorrow and he hasn't been able to ride with me lately, but we both do the road cycling thing.
Okay.
And my bike lives at their house because I don't have room here.
Okay.
So I see them, several times a week anyway, and they're 3 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so pretty soon my dad's going to start helping me with printing, like running the printer. And my mom has even offered, like, hey, I can put pedals in boxes for you.
Right. Yeah.
Like
something. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'll take it.
Right. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So just anything to cut out steps is so helpful. And because I'm doing all my own social media, like everything.
So it is your full-time deal, right? You don't.
Yeah. So I started the company in 2015, and I believe it was about 2017 or 18. I'm having trouble remembering which one. But my father-in-law invested. He basically gave me a gift and told me to pay him back when I could.
Yeah.
And that's when I acquired Nose Pedal. And, obviously I've kind of subsumed that utility portion into Westminster at this point. But acquiring Nose really kind of helped, since it kind of had a more built-in revenue stream, kind of helped me kind of get over the top, right? And start pushing more toward full-time. And then that is what got me to full-time, is having, like, Nose already had dealers and stuff like that. But eventually, like, particularly with the podcast and the environment in the podcast lounge and stuff like that, people really latched on to Westminster.
Yeah.
And especially like the whole there's the dogs. There's the alarm system. Who needs Simply Say? But yeah, it's just grown, and now it's about to become unyielding.
Yeah. Praise the Lord,
Yeah, exactly. I'll even, like, I've prayed for sales, and God's like, that's cute. Here's more sales than you can handle. And I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go.
Yeah. You need new nets, right?
Yeah, I really do.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on here. Thank you for sharing your story and getting to hear a little bit behind it. Hopefully we'll do it again, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, we'll see you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, do the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, go follow. It's just Westminster Effects on Instagram, right?
Yep.
And you have a website, westminstereffects.com.
Also, yes.
Also, yes. And yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.